Today we are looking at the character designs for Zombie Guy from the film InBetweening.
Thank you. Yes, we are live. Thank you, phone.
All right. So what I like to do first, I'm going to clear. I always like to throw in a white layer to sort of knock everything back. And then drop my pencil. I don't think this is at a very high resolution, so I'm going to bump this resolution up. Print size, yeah. So make this 300. Oh. Well, okay. Oh, no, it didn't flatten. Sweet. Undo.
And one day when I'm a big kid, I'm going to have a big tablet just like that.
Oh, they're fun. They are super fun.
Look how much you can move your arm across the screen, so you can draw with your whole arm instead of like just your wrist. That's
yeah. Yeah. No, it does change it. But yeah, I do enjoy using the iPad though. So all right. So I'm gonna start quickly by laying down some guidelines here. And I'm going to start. Let's give myself reference. So, of course, start with the top of the head, feet, waist. That'll be it for now. So I don't know if you can see in the original drawing, but he's got kind of a curvature to him.
Line of action.
Yeah. And some of those it comes across, but a lot of times it got a little too straight.
Yeah.
So in this instance, and this was all very early on. If you look at him, he's standing contrapposto, right? So let's see. If we look at his shoulders, he'll kind of have something like this, right? Like there's more weight here than maybe this one, right? But he is pretty straight. So, and it's a very subtle pose, but if I try to replicate it, I might not get what I want. A lot of times I like to just sort of just reestablish the basics, right? We've got some symmetry going on here, which can be good in some instances, but it's always way more interesting. He's got that hand up and this hand down. So this shoulder is more than likely going to be a little bit more engaged than this one. It looks like you did capture somewhat of a tilt here in his head, right? So right. And it looks like when you were drawing, you got, if we were to look at his heel here and here, we got a lot more space here. So we want to bring that heel down a little bit. And then this foot, if we think about he's turning this way, right? So this foot is coming forward. It's going to be kind of a little bit pointed at us, so we can keep that simple triangular shape. And then this one is, I think you got that pretty good. It's going to go a little bit more profile, but we want it also to feel natural. And
Not so stiff.
Yeah, for some reason that foot for me, the pose doesn't feel right. So okay, there we go. Let's try again. I'm going to knock that down a little bit. So the pose,
there it is. Yeah. That hip is what sells it.
yeah, it still doesn't feel right. I almost feel like
instead of straight profile for that foot on screen, right? It will be more of a 3/4.
yeah. Okay. Hold on. So how would I stand if I was? This hand in the pocket, this hand up, right? That front foot, you can't see my feet, but this foot is slightly forward of that foot. So as we turn, yeah, it's always really difficult to try and imagine too much in your head. So I always stand up and take the pose, but this foot is back.
You mean use yourself as a reference because you're a human too?
Yes, and you think you can. I always think I can draw these things from my head, and it turns out that I cannot. Right, like, and just like with drawing that bridge for that dude on the TikTok, we're just trying to get the feel. We're not worried about too clean, although when you were originally making this particular drawing, we had already gotten to a point where we were ready for cleanup, but then we allowed too much time for me to think things through, and now I am reevaluating all the designs for these characters. Kind of change my mind on the style and whatnot. And this is such a slight turn too, right? Like, it's very subtle. We're just bringing everything more forward. You know, whereas this was here, now it's here. Shoulder slightly up, shoulder slightly down. You know, we got this shape here. That shape's going to get thinner, which you did nicely. But we always want to make sure, you know, there's a little bit of a taper there, a little bit of taper there. And I actually think like this foot, we're going to. All right. So I'm going to. Oh. All right. So I'm gonna go through and all right. So oh, there, yeah. And so on this one, you know, we start to lose a lot of that initial pose. So we need to make sure that we capture some of that curvature, even if we have to exaggerate things to some extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this shoulder. So first off, we got to capture that, yeah, the curvature of the spine, right? It's always going to be. So back, and then this leg just kind of trailing now, or even some extent like this. Oh, where am I drawing? Drawing on the one layer. Lock your layers. The ones that you don't want to draw on.
Yeah, I experienced that when I color, and sometimes I forget to lock the flats, and then they shift. Not fun.
So don't need to draw on this layer, so I lock it. Don't need to draw on this layer, so I lock it. This one I'm not drawing on currently. Locked. Okay, all right. Okay. So for this third pose, we want to, you know, his head is turned from almost looking forward.
Mm-hmm.
Here, or slightly turn, actually here, right? So, and then this one, then we've got almost a profile to some extent. And we want to capture that posture, right? This shoulder is back from that one, right? So it's going to have this hand down, sort of like in front of his chest, and here, foot out front. pocket.
Mhm.
We want to push those curves.
That will be the rhythm you was telling me about, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's always, so I feel like I'm going in the right direction here, but I
Mm-hmm.
also feel like, we could potentially push that a little bit more, where his feet. Do you hear kind of a helicopter-y sound?
No,
Is that me?
everything's good. Everything's good.
Right. Get that glass up higher. Shoulder back, shoulder up, and then head. So that this V here goes from here to here to here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always best to go like way more exaggerated than you think you need, and then tone it back. That's one of the things that I always found that I really kind of struggled with in school was not pushing things far enough. So that gives us generally the shape that we want. In his pocket, we're really not going to see much of that other arm,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got the legs there. And then here as well, we can push this whole thing. Got that trailing back leg.
So when you're pushing the shape, right? When you're pushing the pose,
Mm-hmm.
I think I just said the answer that to the question I'm about to ask. You're just really trying to push that shape, like the torso of the upper body and the bowl of the hips.
Yeah, and you can see I didn't even really exaggerate it very much here,
Mm-hmm.
but now that I've got an opportunity to go back and really look at it,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to want to push it a little bit more, right? Because it's much more interesting.
Mm-hmm. More gives the character.
Mm-hmm. And I'm even looking at this now, and it's like, um,
Yeah, because as you were drawing over mine, it was like a step back a little bit because you're trying to correct it, but mine was so stiff. Now that mine is more knocked back, it's flowing a lot more because the reference or the Fred underdrawing is not as obvious.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a lot of pieces still work,
Yeah.
and the proportions were good, solid. But we just want, straight up and down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not quite as interesting as if we tilt that head forward a little bit, bring the back in a lot, and then those hips, jet those hips out to bring, do that night thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another, if you get trick that I've found, let's see, erase, is to take this pose, 3/4 front, or this is kind of 3/4, right? This is more the front. So this is 3/4, and we copy that. And then we paste that, flip it, and we set that on here.
Mm-hmm.
But now everything that was the front is now the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm gonna head up a little bit. And then you get an instant back pose that just has as much dynamicness as the front.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing with this pose as well, right? Like grab it. And then everything that was the front, you would now draw as the back. There'll be some slight differences, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and that might even help us to correct the front pose a little bit too. All right.
Yep.
So now we've got all of our shapes kind of working together. Let's mush down, mush down. And we can.
So here's a observation or a moment that I learned. So as you turned it around and you took the different poses and then copied them and pasted them over, you still got to know how to make the back parts of the body work at the correct angles, because as the hips are tilting downwards in the front, they're upwards in the back, that bowl shape. So you still got to know where to place the body part, or those landmarks of the body rather, as you flip it around, because just flipping is not going to do it.
No, not always. It is a shortcut once you have an understanding of what you're of what you're drawing. But yes, you do need to still understand those structural items. And I don't tend to draw with too much structure, especially not in the beginning, right? Like right now it's really just more about the flow
Mm-hmm.
of the piece. So um,
That was just my light bulb moment, because I remember when I was doing this in January, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I know how to do this. I did a turnaround before. I'm gonna do it good. Yeah, it took me like 6, 7 times just to get like one of these poses looking the way it did. But
mhm.
then I took your advice and I went away and started and studied up on my anatomy for like 3 months, and
Okay.
now I can see what is it? July now? Yeah.
Hmm.
6, 7 months later, I can go, oh crap, that anatomy study that you had me do for 3 months is paying off in my drawings now, looking at this drawing from earlier.
Yeah. Sweet.
And what a
So
difference 3 months makes.
no,
Imagine.
and because a lot of times when we get drawing, we tend to focus on the drawing itself and not so much on like the bits, if that makes sense, right? Like, because over the 3 months you weren't concerned about trying to meet a deadline or um, or capture a character. You were simply like, my goal here is to understand the structure.
Mm-hmm.
And this hand I need to work on, right? And how to make things look interesting and dynamic.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times when we're trying to meet a deadline or complete a project, we can have a tendency to put our focus in the wrong place because we're just trying to meet the thing. Whereas like when you're just working on understanding anatomy, that's where your head is, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
So this one, let's see, pushing those tapered shapes.
I'm sitting here happy and like amazed that this guy has like so much more personality now. He ain't got no zombie guy features, no chunk in his cheek and no half lips cut off and decayed color. But he has so much personality in this alone.
Yeah, and that's what you want to be able to just in the pose
Yeah.
capture as much of that as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And at a base simple shape level, right? Because if you don't capture that at the base, then no matter what you do with the details, it's still not going to work, right?
That makes sense.
And I'm not even super overly concerned about my guidelines are there, right? Waist, but it's not my primary concern. I'm just trying to give it a little bit more dynamic. I'm making up words. Just make it more dynamic, right?
Right.
So we turn this V to straight on. And now we're going to, and you can see here, like this shoulder's going up, right? So that maintains there. Nope, it should be going up. So undo. Right, so we should be going like this and this, right? And so we're going to maintain that going up and going down.
And for everyone watching, the sound effects is necessary when you draw. If you're not doing that,
you're
doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing something wrong. I promise you, me and my other art buddies, like we're sitting there going, the same. Yeah. It's like we all do it.
Yeah. It keeps you I don't know why I do it, but yeah. It is essential. If you're not making sound effects, then you're not really making art. No.
You're not doing it right. No. Right. The longer the line, the more it sounds like.
And sometimes you gotta cheat things out a little, right? So, ideally you would never, put an appendage so that it is hidden, right? Silhouette is super important in animation, right? And because of where he has his hand in this current pose, it's really difficult to figure out how you can do it without the silhouette. And have it. But if it's a big enough shape within the shape, it could still work. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is this a keeper? Oh, this profile.
Yeah, that'd be a profile on you.
Yeah. So the chances that I would ever show him in this hard of a profile is pretty low. But it's a good exercise to kind of work through. And I'm not even, as far as the hand goes, I'm not really even focused on its structure too much. Just that the hand is up there. There's a particular way people hold martini glasses that you probably want to study, right?
Right.
Got a little bit of that back arm showing through there.
A plane just flew over.
Yeah. Right. You can see I didn't go low enough here. Rip. And then, of course, now we can cheat. So we're going to steal this guy for this one. Yes. Nope.
I think it was the second one for that.
The second one?
Yeah.
Because this is front. So 3/4 front, front, 3/4 right, 3/4 front, 3/4 left, front, right, side, 3/4 back.
So your far left one was your original sketch. I mean, yours, your original one, and then.
And you started to turn based on that, right?
Yes.
So then turn, turn, turn. This will be the back, the 3/4 back.
Yeah.
And then this will be the very back, which will be a duplicate of this one.
Hmm.
So drop. Let's see here. I'm overcomplicating these layers. But layers are free, right?
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. So let's go with it. Go with it.
I already paid for them layers. I'm using them.
Yeah. Yeah. Layers aren't free. What's the subscription for Clip Studio Paint now?
I think it's $10 a month.
A month.
Yeah. I have to look at it again. But if you're on desktop, one and done.
Oh, there's a one-time. Do they do the one-time purchase still?
Yep. Yeah. But I'm not sponsored in any way by Clip Studio Paint.
Yeah. Someday.
Disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one day though, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Clip Studio. I have yet to meet anybody who understands it as well.
I'm getting pretty up there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the animation stuff. Like people be like, I had no idea how to use it, and I'm like, I thought it was hard too, but it's a lot easier than I thought once I got out of my own way.
Yeah, and Toei, they're using it to make Dragon Balls.
I'm saying.
Yeah, so.
No pun intended. Yeah.
Right. Nice back view based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's expand this. That was drawing and not selection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop this last one in, and then I'm going to share this file with you,
Mm-hmm.
and then have you kind of go over it. So let me copy this guy.
Yeah, I can't wait to like trace over it because I feel like that unlocks the magic, the keys, the knowledge in my brain to go, this is how you do this. I'm like, oh, that's the line or the curve that I missed, the overlap, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, no, and for me, it's like to have to sort of like to explain it to you is a good way of like explaining it to myself. Oh, it's my wife is calling. See if I can do double duty. Excuse me. Hello?
You never call me back.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I am streaming. Um, can I give you a call back in 30 minutes?
I don't know, can you?
I promise. I'll set an alarm. How about that? Yeah.
Okay.
All
We
right.
shall see.
I'm holding to it.
Yeah. Fred says he'll hold me to it. So he's
Okay.
dependable. All right. I'll give you a call in a bit. Bye. Love
Okay,
you.
bye. Oh, love you too.
Mhm. My wife has the same line too. She's like, I don't know, can you?
Mhm. I can guarantee nothing, my dear. But a simple man, simple focuses. One of them is making pictures with my pencil.
Facts.
Okay. All right. Always about that center line.
I see.
Right? Keeping us all honest. Awesome. So now I feel like we've got a lot more dynamic.
Mhm.
If we pull up kind of where we started.
Oh no, don't put them side by side.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
And we drop the opacity. You can see, how much, right?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Structurally, proportionally, this real one is really good. I think you captured sort of where we began in this second drawing, but as we moved more, rotated them more,
Mhm.
we kept a little too much. It's like this straight line sort of translated itself and kept moving its way around, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like it's actually not really a straight line. We've got I drew it pretty stiff myself, but I draw it one way and then you amplify that, right?
Yeah.
But what we want to do is, instead of amplifying it towards stiff, we
Mhm.
want to push it towards curved, right?
Mhm.
So how should I hand this file off to you? PSD?
Any way that you need, PSD will be fine.
Okay. I could flatten it if you don't want layers.
You can find it. That's cool.
Okay. So I will export actually the PNG here. So InBetweening, character design, zombie guy, rough, turn around.
Yeah. I'll go over that. I'm not gonna clean it up, because I remember you told me it doesn't need to be pretty. You need to learn and then try to push the shapes and the poses.
All right, I'm going to send it to you on Discord. All right.
There it is.
All right. So
Nice.
I will, if you want to share your screen, stop sharing mine.
Oh, I'm not connected at all.
Oh, you're not set up to draw?
No, all my stuff are on the other side.
Do you want to?
I would say yes, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna make sure I hold you to it because I don't want to disappoint my
Bethany?
guest here. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
No, well, let's. I mean, we won't. We don't have to finish it, but at least open it up, and then maybe for the next 18 minutes. Of course, she's on West Coast time, so it's only 7:42 for her. So, that tablet's looking sad over there by itself, all dark screen, wanting some company.
Right. I just got it. So here, give myself some light. And Clip Studio. There you are. Okay. Now we need to get to the file. Let me start this on the desktop. Come to me. Knuckles, give me my pen. Sonic, give me my remote. It's such a process. We're gonna speed through this one and edit this part out.
Yeah. No. Did you switch to a different mic?
I probably did. Do I sound far away?
No, you sound good, but the like that helicopter sound I was talking about, when you switched, it went away.
Oh, that means it was me.
It's all good. Forgiven. Yeah, share your screen and I will give it permission and we can see what you're doing on your end.
Let's do that. Sure.
So
we are not live. Well, we are live, so thanks for subscribing and following.
Yeah. We are moving from Fresco now into Clip Studio. Mm-hmm. Fresco was one of my weapons of choice. Clip Studio is Fred's weapon of choice.
The only weapon I have.
They all have their things they do well, and they all have their things that they don't do so well. But find yours, and a lot of them intermix and match. So, all right. Oh, nice. Nice little gray tone.
I'm going to give it a name because I'm going to keep trying to say it and it's going to say no. All right. So we got that one. Just lock that layer. Let's go above it. And then actually I'm gonna drop it down a little bit more. String, yeah, you could.
Right.
All right.
So I wasn't measuring as carefully, but now that you're taking it to the next phase, you know, you're going to be, I guess, a little bit more measured. Um, and it's not typical that you would ever get handed off. This is totally a critique drawing, right? Like,
one of these days, I'm going to figure out how to get that flickering to stop on my stuff.
yeah. Are you hardwired or are you Wi-Fi?
I am. Let's see. Hardwired.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Cool.
Is it doing something silly?
No, live streaming, we are at the mercy of our bandwidth, my ability to receive, your ability to send. Whether or not people are watching Monday Night Football. I don't even think it's football season. But,
I'm going to take this tilt of the head because it's touching here.
Mm-hmm.
So expand that a bit. And then that's the head. Like this. See. When I can see, that'd be great. So this is the left and this is the left. So we want to do that again over there a little bit. Let's bring that in. Put it down.
Yeah. So, and this is also an opportunity to think completely around those shapes, right? So, you made those two lines for the waist.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that in terms of an ellipse. And if you were going around, right, like how far around his back are we going, right? Because it really does help you to sort of like start thinking about this in 3 dimensions. I don't often draw that third dimension, but when I'm drawing, it is there in my mind as I'm making it. Right.
So this way, this one should be. So shoulders, hips, right? They're always counter to each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of a directional thing, right? So, and you can see it here more so in pose number 2 than in pose 1. So just underneath your third red line, you can see my hip line, right?
Yeah.
And it's a straight line. Yeah. And
this is what we got: torso, legs, all that stuff, and then abs, all of that.
So sorry. So before we jump to pose 2, let's work out just pose number 1 for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get a structure, right? So you draw your hip bowl and your chest egg, right? And you can see already that your bowl and your guideline are parallel, right? But if you look at the little line that I drew, it's kind of scratchy there. Yep. You see that significant tilt?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to push that even further, maybe, right? So whatever I do, you should exaggerate it to some extent. Maybe even go, if I do a line, you should go even more exaggerated. And just, and if you feel like you need to pull back, then pull back. But whenever you see a line, you want to push it even further than it already is. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so another really key concept is the curves versus straights, right? So on the front of the leg, you've got that nice curve. And so on the back of the leg, it's going to be straight. And then on the calf, it curves in the back, right? And really curve it. I mean, go outside of my line a little bit. Yeah, right? And then it's going to be a straight on the front side of that leg. You see how much dynamicness that gives to it?
Mm-hmm.
And so with the other leg, you've also got the same thing going on. The back of that leg's like almost straight up and down. And then you've got that thigh. And that curve for the thigh could almost start at the bottom of the rib cage. Right? And go from the bottom of the rib cage all the way down to that knee is one single curve. Mm-hmm. Same with the arm, curve versus straights. So in this instance, with the arm, you've got, right, like if you look at my arm here, this, right, like straight curve. I think you got more of a curve in the bicep, like straight on the shoulder.
So a curve on the bicep and straight on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I think when I made it, it was almost like a tube. And the reason it looks curved on the oh yeah, that works too, right? Mm-hmm.
Other way. Yep. And then we'll push these skeleton bones even further, which will be straight, and then a ridiculous curve,
Mm-hmm.
and then straight here, and then curve, overlap. That one.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah. You gotta. Do you own any martini glasses?
I do not.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to Google martini holding a martini or something. Get some reference once you're comfortable, right? So I know not every person is going to have a washboard tummy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see behind your thing, see the shoulder. I have a line that goes from the pit of the arm. Oh, where'd everything go? Turn it off. It goes up to the shoulder there. It's like a straight. Because I think I kind of curved the back here. But for the shoulder, it goes from the arm, inner armpit, this part, all the way up to the shoulder, right? I don't know if you can.
So this here to shoulder.
Yeah. So on the outside, if you zoom in a little bit, you can see I've got almost what looks like. Yep, exactly. Right. So that's your straight, and then on the back side of that is going to be the curve. Mm-hmm. Yep.
This one will be straight then. No, the curve looks.
It could be.
But it's making it all sausage like.
Yes. So the reason it appears curved here is now if you're wearing a suit, right? He's going to have a suit coat, and that suit coat is going to go from the elbow up to the cuff. And that's going to be straight, right? And yeah, and so it's going to vary, but it usually is what they kind of like. What is it's a rhythm, right? So the chances that you will go from the curve of the back of the arm to the curve of the front of the arm is very rare. So if it's coming from a curve from on the back of his arm, curve down to here, it's probably going to go straight. And you caught it. If you do that, where you go curve, it's going to give it the sausagey sort of like spaghetti look.
Mm-hmm.
So it should always be curved, straight, and then this should be curved, straight. And you can't see what my finger's doing on the screen, but I'm pointing at it.
He's drawing it with me, y'all. All right, so blue line, right? This blue line should be a curved line.
Yeah, his arm is actually curved, right? But right, because like even looking at mine, but when you put the clothes on him, it's going to be a straight line, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a straight line.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I really feel like you really captured it. The legs look good. And always do that center line from the crotch all the way up to the collar to this part right here in the neck, right? There's always a line that goes, to give you that center line.
It's a ridiculous curve.
Mm-hmm.
But
and the same thing from right here on the chest. That could go all the way down to the knee on the other side. Oh, no, you had that right before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, all the way down to the knee and then turn, right? And that is his overall flow. So I know I was talking earlier about the washboard abs. That's extremely rare and something you would probably more than likely emphasize on a female character, maybe. But even then, we want to, in animation, simplify shapes and to go in for the knee, out for the hip, in for the waist, out for the chest. It's too much, right? Whereas we can make one big line that goes chest all the way down the thigh to knee and then down to the lower leg. And that is a much easier shape to draw and move around in animation than
shape management.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Who wants to move all those different pieces and make them recognizable? If we can do it in a single line, always better.
Yeah.
Right? So that's power. That is a powerful flow you have. and so now that you've got that and that's feeling right, you're going to move that across, and it's the same rhythms, just less pronounced because the whole thing is kind of turned.
Now I want to try to push it.
Yep.
And then,
But since we've turned that leg, which is normally cocked back, you see where we've got now on the inside of that leg, it's a straight, because that leg is right. It's we've got this straight line here because we've got the rhythm on the outside of the leg that gives us the calf and the hip. So we've got that bump on the outside of the, which leg is that? Right leg, thigh, calf. Yeah. So you're straightening in that, but if the inside is straight, then we're going to need bump, hip, knee, ankle, bump. You see that?
You're pointing at the screen.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find some sort of tool. But do you
so
see
the outside leg, right? So the
Yeah.
outside right here, since it is coming down, and we have this on your drawing below it. But if we're following this motion, right, for that shoulder, hip, all the way to the ankle, right? We're gonna go like that.
Yes.
So if we're doing this, but over in this view, it'll straighten out a little bit. But if we're trying to push the pose, we do this.
Yes.
And then to have curves over straight, since this is a curved line, we want to have a straight line on the inside.
Yep.
Right. So then we will put the straight line here, but probably more tapered. And then since the foot is here, and then calf, we would probably want to do something like this.
Well,
this doesn't really help it.
But so what you've got is you've got a similar thing going on where you've got the upper back thigh is going to be a straight. So as the leg turns, different muscles become more prominent, right? Because I like that big S curve on the outside, but you do have a hand in the pocket, and he does have thighs, right? Right. So it is going to be in, out, out. So straight, curve, and then the inside of the leg is going to be one big straight. Ooh, that's nice. Yep.
So blue, this one here and this one here seems.
So that first blue line
you made
doesn't really exist.
That's true.
Because you're putting it's a center line.
Yeah.
But that line is actually going to end at the crotch.
Yeah. We're going to have this bowl.
Yep. And then the bottom of the bowl is going to hit the top of that center, that straight inner leg line.
Shoulder me. And then this like that. So let's push that wide, very, very wide, and straighten them up. And then I would say here, straighten them up, and then
So that arm is going to be slightly closer to the body now that we've turned a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And it's weird. One of the things that helps us determine the turn is the transition or swapping of certain straights and curves. And I think, right? So my arm from the front, right? And as you turn it, right, the curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So straight, and it goes to curve, right? Here on the
Mm-hmm.
outside of the arm.
Yeah.
And even the forearm, right? Like curve here. As I turn here, then it becomes straight.
Yeah.
And so as you get more familiar with anatomy, you're going to find that those straights and curves are how we use to show its relative position to the viewer. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a little more feminine.
Yeah. So was that the waist?
Yeah. So
I think we want to maintain that same. There's a line that once again starts at kind of the top of the chest here. Yeah, and goes all the way down to that knee. That is still maintained. It's not as prominent, but it will. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
all right. There's so much more to go.
Yes.
Say.
So play with it. Experiment with the straights versus curves.
Yeah.
Try to match what I have, and just sort of capture some of that dynamic simplicity.
And push it.
Yeah. Remember another thing in terms of where the legs meet the hips. There are two cylinders at the top of each leg, right? That also kind of give us the superhero underwear lines. Yeah. Yeah. So if we jump back to the first one, if you were to just draw the two lines that start at the hips. So when you make those big hoops there, what does that represent? Like on the hips?
So this is the ball joint that goes and pops out,
Mm-hmm.
and then it curves inward to the kneecap down to the ankle.
Mm-hmm.
And this opening bigger ball spot is where it's like a weird shape.
The
Like
pelvis.
this, yeah. And then there's the crotch right there, and it's just okay. And
So
spot. It's a little smaller than that though. It's
yeah.
a lot smaller. You know,
So
balls hitting there.
so the reason, so the bowl, that part of the body is represented by the bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those two end edges of the bowl, that is supposed to be the top of that hip bone, right? We know it's not evenly distributed like a bowl, but it gives us the roundness.
Mm-hmm.
But the bowl represents that whole hip structure that keeps all your guts up,
Yeah.
right? So if you have the bowl, then your hip bones. Oh man, I wish I could. Maybe I could flip back over to my
This part
screen.
right from the back to the front, that those points, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get sit in here.
The guts.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
your spine.
Ye kinda. Let's see here. I'm gonna. No. Oh, excuse me. Um. Getting set up here really quickly. And then it's already 11:15. So much when it comes to drawing. But let's see here. Then I will set you free from this torment.
I'm loving it. It's not me. I'm trying to make sure that Bethany gets that call back.
Cool. All right. So I just want to go in here really quickly and kind of walk you through my and the bowl thing is not mine. I learned it from Carl Ganas, who was my drawing teacher. So his thing was, right, so I made this line here, right, and that one end of this to the other end represents that the edge of that bone, right, but it also represents the top of that bowl, and that bowl is technically tilted forward a little bit, right? And then honestly, if I had to, so then to get the bowl, I can actually make those crotch lines, right? Because it's actually kind of a concave bowl, right? Right, and if you were to follow this line all the way around, it would wrap around the bowl, or like this. So the bowl is a very amorphous thing, but if you were to make a line that arcs under the bowl, it would find it. If the line came here and went under the bowl, and it's tilted, and all the guts sit here, anatomically, it's actually a thing that looks like this, right? And it's this hollow thing, and guts and all that sitting there. But yeah, and it's got two big holes, I think, at some point. And then it actually goes back down to a little tailbone back there. But it's kind of open in the front,
right?
And the legs come out like this. So the bowl is really not. It's not actually a bowl, and we know that. But the rim of the bowl gives you the height of the highest point of the hips. It also captures the roundness of the fleshed out body, and it gives you a guideline for how these two hip points work in relationship to each other, right? So the bowl is really just kind of think about it like the meridian lines of Earth, right? Like they're not actually there, or the grid lines of a piece of graph paper, right? Like they just give us guiding points. Right. It's not actually a solid bowl, but if we follow its curvature, we start to realize like all the things that and the points within it, right? So yeah. Anyway, that's it's a good guide, but it's not a hard, fast thing, right? It's not technically a bowl, but thinking about it like a bowl gives us reference points from which to work.
Yeah, those different landmarks on the body.
Yes. Yep. And so shortcut for the actual anatomy.
But I've learned the hard way. You got to actually study the anatomy, understand it before you can simplify it.
Yes, but you also need to continually work to push it into the back of your mind, right? So, because the way my instructor, but I noticed that he would draw is that things that look like guidelines for me, he was actually drawing shadows, right? So it's like he'd make these strokes. He'd be like, oh yeah, he's working out where the leg bone connects to the knee bone, or the hip bone connects to the knee bone. But then when he starts to flesh it out, it's like, no, that's the muscle groove on the side of the thigh, right? Like, and so because he's thinking so many steps ahead, he, it just kind of works. So, but yeah, cool, man. Thank you for letting me talk through that. I know it's a lesson we've gone over before, but I'm excited to see your progress. I hope the way I'm explaining things makes sense, and yeah, looking forward to see what you do with that next iteration of Zombie Guy as we get that character design fleshed out. So
no, it's all good because I'm gonna push the shapes, take a little bit more time to make sure everything is lined up evenly and proportionately, and then add the details after you look at it.
yes, all I want to see is how you push those shapes, how you address the straights versus curves, and structurally work them out. I'll give you feedback on that. And then as we feel comfortable on the body shape, then we'll start to work in. Maybe we'll start on the head first and make that turn, and then work our way down to the body. Maybe head, then that hand hold the martini glass, and then the suit, and just sort of work through them. So until next time.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah,
make art happen.
That's right.
So cool, man. Anything else?
Yeah. Make that phone call.
Yeah. Will do. All right, man.
Thanks for teaching me. Thanks for the feedback.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. I'm looking forward to us making many more things together.
Awesome sauce.
Cool.
All right. Everybody out there, y'all have a good day. See you later.
Good night.